Good morning, everyone, and aloha.
Aloha.
I would like to thank all of you for taking the time to join us and attend the combined December monthly service, the last monthly service here at Pearl Church for this year, and the 5th anniversary memorial service for the late Tenrikyo Pearl, the photo that we have up there. This being the last monthly service for this year, I would like to thank all of you for your sincere offerings and support throughout this past year. And I would like to thank those who have joined us on live streaming today, as well as joining our morning and evening services. I'm sure God the Parent and Oya-sama is really happy to see you all here today, to have performed the service with joy and in high spirits. We'll be continuing the sermon from 2 months ago about our founding head minister's journey to establish Pearl Church. Her photo is up on the wall there. Reverend Tsugi Nagayama. We left off where her visa to enter the United States as a missionary was finally approved.
皆様おはようございます。先月の続きで初代会長永山次がパール教会を設立するまでの足跡をたどりたいと思います。布教師として米国に入国するためのビザが最終的に承認されたところまで先月は終わりました。
Tsugi Nagayama began her journey from Kobe harbor with a few Tengen followers, seeing her off on her voyage to Hawaii. After sailing for 10 days over the Pacific Ocean, she finally landed in Honolulu, Hawaii on June 2nd, 1931. The Overseas Mission Department had previously sent a letter to Reverend Kashiwara of Myodo Grand Church requesting him to be Tsugi's guarantor, without whom she would be deported back to Japan. Reverend Kashiwara was doing missionary work in Hawaii at that time.
永山次は神戸港からいよいよハワイへ立つ日を迎え、数人の天元信者らが見送りました。太平洋を10日間航海した後、1931年6月2日、ついにホノルルに上陸しました。その当時、明道大教会の柏原布教師はハワイですでに布教活動を行っていたので、次の身元保証人は柏原布教師になってもらえるよう、海外部は前もって手紙を送り依頼していたのです。当時、保証人がいなければ日本に強制送還されるところであります。
Reverend Kashiwara met Tsugi at Honolulu Harbor and took her to Taiheo Church, where she stayed there for a while.
柏原氏はホノルル港で次を迎えに出て太平洋教会へ連れて行き、次はそこにしばらく滞在させてもらうことになりました。
The photo is of Pearl Harbor and Aloha Tower around that time. Tsugi finally realized her dream of coming to Hawaii. From that day on, she started to find a place to stay and started her missionary activity. She found a room in a 2-story apartment on Pua Lane in Palama, near North King Street and Liliha Street. Palama is near to downtown and Honolulu Harbor. Palama and Moiliili were places where many Japanese lived and were called Japantown.
念願のハワイ上陸を果たしたその日から家探しと布教活動を始め、4、5日後にはノースキングとリリハの近くのパラマ、プアレインにあるアパートの2階に一室の住居を見つけました。パラマはモイリリとともに日本人街と言われ、生活力あふれた庶民の町でした。
Reverend Nagayama thought her small apartment was inadequate for people to gather, so she found a small cottage house at 1012 Austin Lane It was the third house from North King Street. The house rent was $30 per month. There was a fire station, Kailani Elementary School, Palama Theater, Kaumakapili Church, a Japanese-owned grocery store, a signing stand, and a drugstore nearby on North King Street.
アパートの2階では人に集まってもらうにも狭いと考えていて、ほどなくしてパナマの一戸建てのオースティンレーンに家を借りることになりました。ノースキングストリートの借家の家賃は1ヶ月30ドル。近くには消防署、パナマ劇場、カウマカペリ教会、日本人経営の商店や催眠やドラッグストアなどが並んでいたところであります。
Tsugi spread the teachings door to door to the laborers and those with illness and administered the sazaki. She also did massage to those with stiff shoulders. Gradually, she gained a following. Many members paid a monthly fee of 25 cents per month. In 1931, a name list included 35 names. The list of 35 names is dated August 1931, which is less than 3 months after she started her missionary work. These people started to come to her house for worship at her shrine in 1932. The next year, an additional 31 names were entered in her logbook.
次は近くのアパートや家々へと病人を訪ねて歩き、お授けを取り次ぎ、肩が凝るという人にはマッサージを施し、神様の話を説いた。こうしてこの道についてくる人が来始め、メンバーとなった人は1月25セントの会費を払ったそうです。布教を始めて3ヶ月目には35名の人たちがより集まった。さらに翌年には31名の名前がさらに記載されています。
Tsugi walked house to house from Nuanu to River Street, Kukui Street, Vineyard Boulevard, and Palama, where many Japanese Americans, as well as people of many different racial backgrounds lived. It was a lively town. Tsugi walked under the strong Hawaiian sun, visiting the people who lived in the shabby houses of the area. Before World War II, most of the Japanese women wore a kimono, but Tsugi wore a plain-colored cotton dress with a hori kimono coat.
次はノアヌからリバーストリート、ククイストリート、ヴィニアード・ブラバード、そしてパナマへと家から家へと歩き通した。日系人やさまざまな人種の住む木造の粗末な長屋、またアパートを強い日差しの中歩いた。戦前は普段着に和服を着ている婦人が多かったが、次は木綿の地味なワンピースの上に紋付きの羽織を着て、履物は草履を履いて歩いたということです。
These are just some photos that I found on the internet during that time. She walked from Palama to Kalihi and then to Polo Road, where she visited people at the sugarcane plantation workers' camp. When the plantation workers moved to Aiea and Waipahu near Pearl Harbor, she continued to visit them at the greater distance to do salvation work.
当時、カリヒ、パラマ、プグロアロードにはサトウキビ畑のプランテーションで働く人のキャンプがあったそうです。その人々を訪ねて歩きましたが、その後、パールハーバー方面、アイエア・ワイパフへとその方たちが移ってしまったので、引き続きそちらの方へ足を伸ばしてさらにお助けに歩かれたということです。
In 1933, the second Shimbashira visited the United States, stopping by in Hawaii. Tsugi introduced herself to Reverend Tame Nobu Nakayama, who accompanied the Shimbashira as an attendant and talked about how she was doing in her missionary work. He promised her that he would visit her after she received the truth of church name. After she heard this, she quickly told him that she will be going to church headquarters next year to receive the truth of church name, which means to establish a church. After doing 2 years of missionary work in Hawaii, Tsugi was deeply moved and inspired by hearing these words directly from Reverend Nakayama. She became even more motivated in her missionary work.
1933年、二代新馬車様のハワイご殉教の際に、次は随行の中山為信先生に布教の状況をお話しした。すると中山先生からは、ねぎらいと激励のお言葉をかけていただき、来年には教会設立させていただきたいと申し出たのです。中山先生からは、教会名称をいただいた折にはきっと教会へ参拝しますよと言っていただいたので、次はそのお言葉に感激し、ハワイ布教に来て2年目、布教意欲はますます燃え上がったということです。
Palama was a closely knit town, so the people were very friendly, and she could feel the people's warm kindness, for which Tsugi was very comfortable. The people she visited received miraculous blessings one after another from diseases such as asthma, eye disease, bronchitis, and ulcers. Many people started to come to her mission.
パラマは人情の厚い、親しみやすい町で、次の小児もあったと言えましょう。喘息病、がん病、結核、胃病など不思議な助けを見せていただき、人々がより集まってきたのであります。
In the summer of 1934, Tsugi returned to Jiba to request sanction to receive the truth of church name to establish the church. At her request for a church name, Reverend Tamenobu Nakayama suggested Pearl, and thus it was named Pearl Church and established on September 27, 1934. Tsugi Nagayama was installed as a first head minister.
1934年夏、次はおじばへ帰り、教会名称のお許しをいただく運びとなりました。新柱様の追行でいらしていた中山為信先生に教会名をお伺いしたいと申し出ていたので、先生よりパール教会という名称を命名していただいた。こうして1934年9月27日にパール教会が設立。長山次は教会長のお許しをいただいたのです。
In 1936, 2 years later, during Oyasama's 50th anniversary, Reverend Nagayama led a group of 5 followers, and they all entered Bekka, which at that time was a 6-month spiritual development course. In 1937, again, the following year, Reverend Nagayama led a group of 12 people, of which 8 received the truth of Sasuke and 2 entered Bekka. In this photo, you can see my grandfather, who is my dad's father. He passed away early though. This is Nagayama. Right next to him is Reverend Nagayama.
それから2年後の親様50年祭の年には、長山先生は5名の信者をおじばへ連れて帰り、5名とも別科へ入学した。6ヶ月間の修行下であります。また、その翌年、12名の信者をハワイから連れて帰り、うち8名はお授けの寮敗退、2名は別科に入学したということです。
In 1941, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, and those of Japanese ancestry in leadership positions were sent to internment camps on the mainland. Tenrikyo ministers were arrested and sent to the camps. A few days later, the FBI came to Pearl Church, but Reverend Nagayama was away at the time. One of the followers who was there, Mrs. Ogasawara, talked to the FBI, who searched the house for weapons. They took the shrine symbol of worship and instructed her not to do missionary work.
1941年、日本海軍は真珠湾攻撃を敢行、悲惨な太平洋戦争に突入することになりました。日系社会で指導的立場にある人などは FBI に逮捕・連行され、米本土へ収容され、抑留されました。
The FBI visited the church several times, but for some reason, probably old age, Reverend Nagayama was not arrested. Reverend Nagayama continued to perform the morning and evening services and visited her members.
FBI はパール教会を何度も訪れたが、女性で年老いているせいか、長山先生は連行されなかったので、朝夕のお勤めを務めることができ、またお助けにも回ったのです。
After the war ended in August of 1945, they could conduct the monthly service for the first time since the war started on the second Sunday in September of that year. Tsugi was 70 years old at the time. She was a large-framed woman with a straight back.
ついに1945年8月に戦争は終わり、翌9月第2サンデーには月並祭を務めることができるようになったのです。その年、永山先生は70歳、大柄な背筋の通った健康な人であったそうです。
One day, while visiting a church member in Ayel, Tsugi fell off the bus, stepping off the bus, fracturing her ankle. Dragging her leg, she arrived at her member's house. She couldn't walk and was admitted to a Kuakini hospital.
ある日、信者さん宅を訪ねに、アイエアへ行く道中、バスから降りた時に足元が狂って横転、転んだのです。足を引きずって信者さん宅へたどり着いたが、動けなくなった。そして桑切病院へ運ばれ入院となったのです。
When Mrs. Otake, one of the church members, visited Reverend Nagayama at the hospital, Tsugi said that she felt that she had to get out from the hospital and do salvation work. 10 days later, she was discharged. However, she was very weak physically and also suffered from loss of short-term memory. In 1948, Reverend Nagayama returned to Japan and passed away at the age of 73 on February 24th, 1949.
軽い骨折であったが、入院中、早く病院から出してもらいたい、お助けに行かなければとお見舞いに来ていた信者の大竹さんに訴えるほどお助けには余念がない。しかし大竹さんは、歩けない者がどうして病院を出られますかと言って取り合わなかった。そして10日後には退院したそうです。しかし以後、思考と記憶が衰え、体に衰弱が見え始め、ついに1948年、永山先生は日本へ帰り、73歳の生涯を閉じたのであります。
4 years later, my father, Reverend Yoshinobu Nakao, who is seated in front of us, became the second head minister in 1954. He arrived with my mom, the late Tomiko Nakao, and that same year. And 40 years later, I became the third head minister in 1994. In 2 years, we'll be celebrating the Pearl Church 90th anniversary since its establishment on June 30th, 2024. At that time, Moses, my eldest son, will be installed as the fourth head minister of Pearl Church. In this way, the path of the Jewish life continues from generation to generation. Please save this date, and we would like to invite all of you to join us on this special occasion and to carry on Reverend Tsugi Nagayama's enduring legacy. That will be on a Sunday, June 30th, 2024.
私の父、中尾義信は1954年に2代会長となり、その40年後の1994年に私が3代目の会長となりました。また2年後、2024年の6月30日に パール教会設立90年目を迎える年になります。同時にパール教会4代目の会長にモーゼスが就任することとなりました。報告祭を務めさせていただく運びとなりました。このように喜びに満ちた人生の道は初代からこの世代へと続いて、初代長山次先生の人助けの精神を受け継ぎ、パール教会から多くの人が助かってもらえる教会になりますよう、今後の発展を願いたいと思います。どうぞ2024年6月30日、皆様お待ちしております。お願いよろしくお願いいたします。
Thank you very much for your kind attention. Just a few announcements. The OSL 140th anniversary will be out on January 2026. We will start reading we read the instruction for last month, but we will continue from January of next year. I'd like to thank those who helped out with the general cleaning that was held last weekend on December 3rd and 4th. Thank you very much. The mission headquarters December service will be held this coming Sunday on December 18th at 9 a.m. with face masks on. The English course of the 3-month spiritual development course will be held next year. This is in Jiba on April 1st to June 27th. Registration on March 27th in Jiba. Visa will be required due to the length of stay longer than 90 days. Please let me know as soon as possible if you or a friend wish to attend. The Pearl Church and Mission Headquarters New Year's service will be held on January 1 at 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. respectively with face masks on. That's all. Thank you very much, everyone.